On the live show this Monday, I spent some time with Felipe from BrazilJS, talking about the behind the scenes of organizing the world's biggest JavaScript conference. Before we get on to the recording, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Linode. Linode is amazing. Let me read you the pitch. Use Linode to host your websites, apps, VPN, securely store your data, and more. Simple pricing starts at $5 per month, and that ensures no hidden fees or surprisingly large bills. Linode has over 10 worldwide data centers for low latency coverage near you, including a new data center now available in Mumbai, India. Thank you, Linode. Use the information in the description box below to get a discount when you sign up. So BrazilJS is a huge JavaScript conference. It was one of the first conference where I spoke after starting Fun Function, and I had the best experience. It's close to being organized for 10 years, so they really know what they're doing, and they have been through the ropes. So I'm going this year to do a workshop and a talk, and I figured that this would be a good opportunity to bring them on the show and talk about what it's like to organize a JavaScript conference, and give us a little bit of a behind the scenes, because I think that would be really interesting to a lot of people. So without further ado, on to the recording of this Monday's live stream. Let's scrolling back up to the questions. Ellen Plum says, my first conference I barely talked to anyone. Second, I made an effort to talk to at least one person each break. At this point, I'm skipping a good majority of the actual talk just because I find interesting people to have conversations with. Oh, that's an interesting point. I find that do you have to bother with that at all? Because there's a huge cultural difference when it comes to Brazil and say Germany or Sweden. Whenever I deal with, especially Scandinavians, Finns are the worst at this. It's it requires some serious jogging to get them to talk to each other. I had this meetup in Finland, and when I arrived, people had just set up a circle with chairs, and where everybody was just waiting for me to arrive. Nobody had been talking to anyone, and it was okay. And it took me quite a bit of warming them up in order to get them to talk about each other. I had thought about it as a small discussion, but it turned it was kind of a weird coaching session where I made people interact. So if I ever go in Finland again, I'm gonna make sure that I booze them up properly before doing anything. But
yeah, Brazilians are very warm. Brazilian people are very welcoming, so it's usually easier to find someone to talk to about anything virtually. And in conferences as well, we always say that the network is awesome. So sometimes not most of people, but I think half of the people, they enjoy the same, both the network and the talks. So many times you see a talk happening here, and there is this group of people talking outside because they just like talking about technology or about their areas and stuff like that. And they really enjoy it. It's very nice. So I even play around saying that there are people who I know who live in the same city as me, and I only see them in conferences outside the country. The only opportunities we have to talk is when we are during conferences, So sometimes we use the conference to meet people again.
Yeah, I think that I think a lot of speakers do that, honestly. One of the things that I found that I don't speak much, to be honest. BrazilJS is a little bit of a special case because Isa has family in Brazil, and I have a history with BrazilJS, and it's a very well organized conference. So it's otherwise as a YouTuber, the economics of a conference doesn't really make sense. If you don't have anything to promote, it just doesn't really work. But where was I going with that? About what you get out as a speaker from conferences. So I think that the biggest thing with me for speaking is like the speakers room, the speakers lounge, where you hang out with other speakers that are in the same situation like as you, like sitting there being enormously nervous for 2 days, depending on at what time you speak. It's like the best spot is always to speak first, because then you have to like not suffer in your own anxiety for ages. But that kind of situation really welds you together with the other speakers. Like it creates a very strong sense of unity. So you make friends with extremely amazing people very fast. And I think that for me is like the biggest reason for speaking at conferences, honestly. Like, and it becomes bigger after you also spoken a couple of times, because it's actually a way to meet your friends.
Exactly, yeah. It's very nice to do that. So you meet new friends, and then you meet friends that you don't see for quite a while. So it's very fun to do that. And we always end up learning a lot of things. And as you said, it's very nice for warming up before going on stage. So you talk to people, you get more ready to go there and talk to the audience.
So like speaking of like taking care of speaking of speakers, what are your can you talk a little bit about taking care of speakers and inviting speakers, and like the whole flow of making sure that you get speakers, and like then making sure that they have a good time, and like other aspects that I don't see in that whole flow, like the speaker experience, because to me that, like, I assume that is sort of at least one of the cores of the conference.
Yeah, sure. That's one of the main pillars we have to take care in the conference. And it's very important for us to have the speakers going back home saying good things and feeling good things for the events, because most of the time the speakers are going to be the best ads we have. So we don't have to spend money or annoying people with ads, because the speakers are great people who are going to be talking good things about our conference. So when you have good people talking good things, so good things happen. So it's very important to us. And we also, the organizers, both Jason and I, we like to be together with the speakers.
Yeah.
So we always have fun together. So we want to have those experiences with those great people.
Yeah, so like when we arrived, it took us to like one of the best experience was when you took us to this Brazilian barbecue place, and like gathering us, like it was like a very nice speakers dinner, and like there was a lot of I think it was, if I remember correctly, there was a sword juggling show, and I think that's one of the speakers went up on stage like getting thrown knives at.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was really cool. Kind of dangerous, yes. We were a little afraid of that, but it was very nice.
Yeah, I personally, as an organizer, I would have done that like as after the conference.
Yeah. The idea was not to have one of the speakers on stage, because it is kind of scary, yeah. Because he had a cigarette in his mouth, and then they were removing it using a weapon. So it was very dangerous. We were very afraid of it. And we told them, okay, none of you are going to go on stage. They are going to call someone on stage, but you say no, okay? And then we realized one of them was on stage. So
oh my God.
It was too late. It ended up well, so it's okay.
Oh God! Like I think that on they actually pulled up one of the they on Nordic.js they pulled up one, or they had like a knife throwing artist on stage, and they pulled up one of the speakers. I'm pretty sure that they actually pulled up like a previous speaker, so he had already done his thing. They're sneaky, but it's gonna like I know from after talking to the Nordic.js organizer that fucking thing was not planned. They just like found out like during the conference that there was a knife thrower in like there. So they asked him, can you fetch your knife throwing wheel, bring it here, and we'll do you on the second conference day. That's some serious improvising. But anyway, like, so continue talking about the experience. You hung out a lot with with the speakers. I think
Yeah.
that is a little bit unique to BrazilJS. I felt like I socialized with you as organizers all the time. Like while on other conferences, the organizers is this kind of ephemeral unit that you don't see all that much.
Oh. Yeah, we're always, as I said, we are part of the community. So we like giving talks, we like watching talks, and we like to be together with the speakers and everyone. So we always like to ensure that we are going to have the good experiences with the speakers, and that's the way for us also to have a good feedback from the speakers, and also to know if something went wrong, if we could fix something. So we are always is the key, right? So
Yeah.
we always like to be there for the speakers. It's very important to us. So and also for Brazilian speakers, we always cover like all the costs because they come to give their talks. They sometimes skip working days. They have to be away from their families. So we always cover all the costs they have to come to the conference, and we try to make them go home with good stories to tell. So we always try to take care of the speakers the best way as we can, and to have fun with them too. Yeah, it's a very good experience, a very good opportunity for us to have fun with all those speakers, those great people.
That's awesome. So after like the socializing part and like during the conference, what are the steps that are like you would say it's important when giving speakers a good experience, like practicals. I don't know exactly like regarding like talk preparation and information to speakers and stuff like that, and what happens after they leave the conference and stuff.
Yeah, we always try to give them freedom. So you are free to use your own slides, your own machine. We always want to test everything the day before, so we can assure the person, okay, you are going to go on stage, and at least the technical things are going to work. So that's something to make you feel a little better. Yeah. Then we always try to bring people to talk to the speakers, so the speakers can know a little bit of the audience as well before the conference. So we introduce people from communities to the speakers. Oh, this is a person who does a meetup. This is a person who has a huge group. So the speakers get to know how the audience is, the level of the audience.
Oh, that's cool.
So the vibe, you know.
That is like you said like how do you like giving speakers the freedom when it comes to technology and making sure that that everything works. Like, what are steps that you have taken during, or improvements that you've taken during the years to ensure that that happens? Like, do you have people from the outside doing it, or you have your own people, or like how do you make sure that like that tech works?
Yeah, we have to have a team working the day before, all the speakers together. One of the things we have learned is that sometimes the speakers arrive too late in the country, so they get here tired, like 15-hour flight, and it's harder to get them to the venue to test their equipment. So we try to do this when the speaker is going to arrive too late. We try to make them give their talks in the second day. So we have the ending of the first day to do some testing if needed. And the other speakers, we try to have them arrive here like 3 or 4 hours earlier, at least from the time we want to test the equipment. So they have time to take a bath, to rest a little, maybe eat something, and then we take them to test their equipment and just to be sure. And we also try and do that with some snacks, some drinking, things like that. So, and also the speakers get to know the venue before the conference, so they get to know the venue empty. So it's easier for them to walk around the next day, get to know where are the bathrooms, where is the water, where is the food. So it's easier to make them feel at home.
Yeah, like I remember that from when I was speaking last time, that I knew the venue like intimately, and that was really like it was very nice to have that feel before going on stage. And like even when prepping the slides the day before, it's such a great comfort, rather than like when I just walk into a room and I don't really know how it looks.
Yeah, exactly. And also we always take care of safety, because Brazil is, Brazil. So we always need to take care of safety. So we have some special people hired for security, and we also have always a car with security following the buses.
Oh,
So
cool.
the bus with the speakers, and also for the airport stuff like that. We always have someone uh, concerned with safety around. So just to make sure that everything is fine for the well-being of all the speakers. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like the thing is like when you say stuff like that, I still feel like I need to give a little bit of a counterpoint there, because to me, I was like when I was going to Brazil last time, I was scared shitless. I've heard news about la da 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 da, and like I was prepared to be robbed like 3 times, and like I think it's important to like when you say stuff like that to put it in perspective. Like yes, that like, going to Brazil is perhaps like not it's perhaps not absolutely the safest tourist destination, but it's not fucking Syria or anything. It's still like it is a industrial nation.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. This is not actually so dangerous, but just be
Yeah,
sure, yeah, just in case we like to have someone with us all the time. And also, a few years ago, we had a problem with some people threatening the conference because we always have worked a lot of
yeah,
diversity. So we have always faced that. So yeah, there are people who hate that
yeah,
for some reason. So we had some threatenings for the conference, and then we decided, okay, it's time for us to ensure that this is really a safe
yeah.
place for everyone. And then safety started being one of the main things we have to take care of for all the editions. Even if we don't have any threats anymore, we still have to take care of that just to be sure to ensure that everyone is safe in the same place. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're getting threats about that is I think that you should really be commended on you taking a stance here, because like in Sweden, like taking a stance for diversity is not really much of a stance. Like all companies do that because it's pretty much the norm, right? You're hounded if you don't, right? But in your situation, like there is a lot of like you still have quite a bit of trouble with like an anti-gay sentiment, and it's like to you, it's actually like you are actually making a bit of a sacrifice to make that statement, and like I'm very impressed by that, and like it's so cool that you do that, and like you should know that I really appreciate that.
Cool. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, we have been working on that for quite a few years, and we think that's very important. Yes, even for technology itself. Some
Yeah,
people say, "Oh, I went to a conference to see technology, not to see about diversity." But we say, if you don't have diversity, you don't have a good technology.
yeah,
If you want to have better things, you need to have better people of all kinds of people. So it's important for the community to understand that
yeah.
and to be part of it,
It's
and also to multiply that idea.
yeah, for sure. My boss at Spotify actually he did the math of how many millions Spotify lost in revenue from the diversity bias in the product. Like so a music service, like music is like there's if you look at statistics, there's no real difference between gender in like interest in music or really how you listen to music. But for some reason, like there's quite a bit of percentage swing in use between the different music services. So Apple Music and like Pandora and like these services like had quite a bit of swing in gender usage, which is of course probably because it's all like it's men designing the product, or like there's an overwhelming amount of men in the product and design departments. So and that means that like they just don't understand like the subtle differences in and how people interact, or who knows exactly why that is. But like if there is like a heavy gender bias like in the product, and we also have a gender bias in who makes the product, well then like that's probably why.
And you can see that, right? Especially when you have a lot of people using your product. You can see that. You see the numbers. And also, we see this movement with artificial intelligence. intelligence. So you see that artificial intelligence is the future, but if you don't do that right now, it's going to be wrong in the future. So we need to take that in consideration from now, And then you see those examples of people doing something with biases, and then the machine learns things that are wrong. The end is wrong. So this is not a very smart artificial intelligence. So that's not what the technology is trying to do. So if you want to do a better technology, you need to take this account.
Yeah, Ronin52. What are your thoughts on recording and posting the talks done at conferences? When I went to AWS, it was great, but spending a week away around so many people and having almost everything I saw posted online, I thought, well, that seems a bit of a waste. Maybe I got unlucky with workshops, but they were all really basic things that you could find easily on Medium. Other conferences I've been to don't post anything, so I can't refer to it. But I feel like I value those more. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? How did you, because you post most of the stuff online, no? Like what were your reasoning behind that choice?
Yeah, we always try to make some live streaming and also to publish afterwards. So we have all the talks, we have them published in our channel. It's more than 500 videos, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, it's a lot of videos on talks, yeah. And then we have all the talks in both Portuguese and English. It's very nice. And we think that find the content in Google, in Stack Overflow, if you want to. If you just want the content, you can find it.
Yeah.
What you can't find is experience, the way the speaker is talking, things like that. So we want to use the talks to show people, oh, look how good this experience is. Because you would have other ways to find the same content, but this is a better way to do that, like to talk to people, to see someone on the stage talking to you. So we want to do that to show you how good that is for you to go to another conference, to go to other conferences and enjoy that too. So we think that content should be available on video as well, because if you want to find those content in text, you would find them. So why not make it available on videos? And sometimes it takes us some time to produce the videos, so it takes sometimes we try to publish like 1 or 2 every week. So it takes a couple months to publish all the videos because you have to editing and stuff, right? But we always try to do that, and also it's good for the speakers. So the speakers can, you can make some noise, some extra noise doing that. And for the audience to have access for that content is very, very important, very nice. And then we try to say, some people ask us, but if you are going to live stream, why should I go to the conference? Because then I say, if you think the only reason for you to go to conference is to sit and watch someone talking, you are missing a lot of things, because there are a lot of other things happening in this ecosystem. So the talks is just one of the products going out of the conference. So we really like to help people understand that, and the best way to do that is to watch a video of people talking and see the vibe, the energy of the speakers and the audience, and understand, okay, I want to be there next time.
Codephobia says conferences are so expensive though. Not BrazilJS though.
Yeah, we always try to keep the price very cheap. So this year the price was around $80, so it's less than $100. And we always try to do that because we always try to ensure that the conference is going to have its quality with sponsors and other ways you can make some money out of it. But we always try to keep the price very low for the audience, because we understand that the audience is most of the time traveling around, so they have to use more money on flight tickets, on the hotel, food, stuff like that. So we still have to keep the conference happening. So we need to sell tickets, yes. But yeah, we always try to keep this balance of the price. So we are not going to transmit the cost we have in the event full for the attendees, and also to help attendees coming from different places of the world. So we have people coming from 4 countries or from countryside cities around Brazil where they usually would travel to a different city, and that's actually one of the reasons why we don't have this conference in São Paulo. Many people ask us, why don't you do that in São Paulo? Because a lot of our good chunk of our audience lives in São Paulo.
Mm.
So for them, it would be like, okay, you wake up in the morning, go to the conference, then you go back to home. But we don't want that. We want you to wake up, take a flight, meet people, have an experience. You have the journey.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's the first time they go into an airplane, for example. So we want you to have this journey. We want you to have the experience of going to this conference for that. Then you have the dinners afterwards. You have meetups. So it's very different.
Oh, that's so true. Like that's with Nordic.js, there's a bit of a problem there because a lot of people living in Stockholm show up and they don't show up for the social events because they like when you're home, you tend to have things booked or it's just like very easily accessible to like after you're tired for an entire day of conference, you kind of like, should I socialize or should I go home and play Xbox? It's kind of like, it's very alluring to just go home. However, when you're like, if you're in a different city or a different country, like if I just go home to the hotel room, like I'm just gonna kill myself. Hotel rooms is the most depressing thing in the world. So it's I think that's like a great insight. I never thought about that, but that's a huge and important reason. Like people behave completely differently when they are in another place. They make use of the time much better.
Yeah, that's true. And also, it's very nice to see, for example, hostels here in hotels. They get full of people, and then the people are going to. We know meetups people are doing like in the lobby of the hotel or in the sometimes in different square areas. And they move around the city so you see a lot of smaller groups doing different meetups all over the city. It's very nice to see happening. And sometimes you even see people who live here in the city offering, oh, I have this two extra rooms here. If someone wants to come and sleep around here, it's okay. Then they have like eight people sleeping in the same apartment for the conference. So they have this different experience. The network is way more extreme, more real.
So what about this question perhaps? Storven asks, what are the biggest difficulties in organizing a conference?
Oh, there are so many. Yeah, it's very hard. It's it's a lot of fun, but it's very, very hard. So, for example, you have to keep that balance of the money because you have to pay things and people who are working on that. So, for example, many times you have to pay for stuff before the conference, otherwise the conference is not going to happen. So, for example, if you don't pay for the venue, they say, okay, we are not going to open the doors. Sorry. So you have to pay that before the conference. So there are many other things like you have to take care of the flights. So when we are covering the speakers, we have to ensure that is everything fine, that the speakers have all the visa is required. So the timings, we have to ensure that the speaker is not going to stay 12 hours sleeping on an airplane or in an airport waiting for the next flight. So we have to ensure that is all set. And also we have to work with some legislations here. So as the conference is for too many people, there are some laws that require us to have like an ambulance around, a group of firemen. We have to have this number of people working on it. So we have a lot of laws we have to take care of them to make it happen. And so we have to deal with that alongside with, for example, the architect that's going to draw the conferences, the structure for the conference. And nowadays we have this it's much better now because we already know the venue. We know the companies that are going to record, that are going to put the internet there, or the screen, the projectors. So it's very important for us to keep with people who are going to provide us services and equipment and stuff like that. So we have always tried to keep a good peace with them, so we can do the next big thing next year. Sometimes we get them like, oh, I have this idea. This is crazy. We want this, I don't know, 25 million on the floor. And they say, oh, you are crazy. No. And then we keep talking for a couple months and then we end up having it. So it's very important to keep this good relationship with them. Because we never know when we have a crazy idea and we need them to help you.
Yeah. Because if the crazy stuff that you do, like for instance, like I know this relationship when I deal with sponsors, like some sponsors we do a little bit more of a quirky things with, like, what about like if we do this is like, and we never do that with new sponsors that we are like just entering a relationship with, because we don't know how easy they are to deal with. Like, will they actually like be fast at replying an email? Will they be able to bounce that fast? You know, like, and will they like, yeah, will they be able to have the flexibility that is needed to do complex things? So like you always like the longer and more trust you have developed with another company, the more likely you are to be flexible. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's important for both sponsors and suppliers as well. Yeah, and sometimes we try and help the sponsors also when they have some ideas. Sometimes they come to us like, oh, I have this idea. I'm going to have this raffle or this announcement, something like that, and then we help them out because sometimes this idea is not going to work because we know the audience. We know, okay, if you go there and do this, no one's going to, to give a damn about it. So we have to do this differently. You have to talk to people differently because, for example, oh, I want the list of emails for all the attendees. No, we don't do that because if you do that, it's going to be bad for you and also for us. So no one wants that. So sometimes the sponsors, they have these traditional ideas, and then we have to work them a little bit to make this happen for the audience. Otherwise, it's going to be just a waste of time.
Sometimes like it's important to be firm with people that are buying your services because they have very strong opinions on the way they want to buy, but you know that they are going to have a bad result. And then in those cases, it's very important to actually take that conflict and make sure that, hey, you need to do this, otherwise you won't get value for your money. Because if you don't get value for your money, we're only going to get your money this time because you're not going to be a happy customer. You're not going to come back. So it's super important.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You say that when sponsoring a conference of ours, we say that you are not just sponsoring the conference, you are sponsoring the chance to learn a little bit with the audience because of the knowledge we have about the audience. So we try and help them to educate them.
Yeah.
To get in touch with this audience in a better way.
So Ellen Plum, related to cost of conferences, I think it's like interesting to talk a little bit about companies footing the bill. Like Ellen Plum points out here, like ideally your employer should foot the bill, but not everybody is lucky enough to work for a company that does that. It's especially difficult if you're self-employed. If you're a student, some conferences offer scholarships though. Like it's like, what can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on getting people the money to go to conferences? Like for me, like it's always been obvious that my employer pays for my conference tickets. I've been very lucky in that sense that I've always worked for companies that just did that. But it's obvious, like when I read like comments from other people that there are companies that don't do that, which I think is insane. It seems like a very cheap perk for an employee, send them away for like learning basically a week and networking and stuff, and then like why not do that? But like how do you get how do you get that out there?
Yeah, that's very important actually. And in Brazil, we have this problem with the culture in companies because yes, sometimes it's even worse. Sometimes, for example, the worker has to pay the hours they are off they are in the conference, So yeah, sometimes it's even worse. That's why we do that on Friday and Saturday. So if the company is not willing to let them go for 2 days, at least it's only 1 day of the week. But it's very important, and we are working hard on helping companies understand that the employee is actually learning for them. So it's very important. It's the employee is making new good contacts and network also for them. So it's important for them to understand that, to keep up to date, right? and we always sell tickets with half price for the students. So it's actually a law here in Brazil. Not
Oh,
not all the conferences do that, but there is a law here that says that all the conferences should have an option for students with 50% discount.
oh,
So we follow that.
that's very
And
cool.
we also try and do, yeah, it's very interesting, but unfortunately, there are some ways people can,
Uh,
manage that. So, for example, so companies, if you want to sell tickets for 200, for
yeah.
example, then instead of selling for 200, you sell for 400. Then the students pay 200, and everyone else you ask, okay, bring me a kilo of food for donation or something like that, and then you pay half.
Oh, okay.
So like everyone ends up paying 200. No, many companies
Yeah,
do that. Many concerts do that too. So we don't do that. We don't
yeah.
like that. We are going to be the resistance against
Go,
this
man.
movement. Yeah, but it's very important for us to make sure that the students are able to go to the conference, and they are especially good for going back home and talking about us. So it's important to us to have them here around, and they are, if they enjoy the conference, they are probably going to come back to the conference. So it's very important to keep a good relationship with students. And we also had some other activities. So, for example, we sometimes sponsor people who are coming from a poor area for the conferences. We have also done that with the school. It was very good. It's very cool. So it was a school for one of the schools was for with special kids,
Yeah.
and the other one was for poor region. And it was very cool. So we had those buses arriving in the conference, and it's very nice to see kids around because everything is new, everything is awesome for them. It's really cool. So they bring a new kind of energy inside the conference. It's very nice, a very good
That
experience.
is so cool. Yeah, I remember. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I remember that those kids being at the conference when I was there. That was so. Like, for me as a speaker, it was like very impactful because knowing like normally kind of, like one of the reasons why I don't go to many conferences is that I don't feel like I'm helping anyone that actually needs to be helped. You know, like it's just like a bunch of people who are already in development jobs, already in good situations. Like they have it. Like they have it parked. You know. Uh, but BrazilJS is a little bit different because like you don't go for like selling your tickets to only like the you could sell your tickets to only like the rich devs of Brazil. You could shrink the conference and like make it like a premium conference, like because there are like well-paid devs in Brazil that you could cater to. But it's very clear that you have a bit of a more of a social mission to me, and that makes the conference a lot more appealing to go to because it feels like I'm actually making a difference. Like there's a lot of people coming to BrazilJS that is learning development in order to improve their lives, and they are paying the ticket out of their own pocket. And you take like kids to the conference that will see this for nearly free, which is super cool. And that makes me feel like hey, this is a much more useful use of my time than most conferences.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, we feel like that too. And also, we have some videos. We haven't made all of them available, but we have some videos that are very cool from people saying things like, "Oh, it changed my life." Like many times, we have people who find their new jobs during the conference due to the networking they have there, or new contacts, or the things they have learned there. And it's very nice to see, especially those kids. Sometimes we see them saying, "Oh, I was thinking what I was going to do when I grow up, and now I think I know." So things like that is very very nice. Or some people say, "Oh, I was afraid this was not for me, and now I see that I could understand. I could talk to people. I could connect to the thing, and so I see that this might be it." It's very nice to see that we are helping them define their lives, and we feel like being
Yeah.
part of it. So it's very important for us that we try to keep this real. And the best way to do that is to make it accessible for everyone. So that's why we try to bring people from everywhere and to get them together in the same place. So we don't have walls between the rooms. We only have one stage, and everyone is sitting there in the same place watching the same talk. So we try to keep that
Yeah.
feeling of being everyone together.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like multi-track conferences. I think it makes a lot of sense to gather everybody, like give everybody the same frame of reference, and I think that it also results in higher quality when the conference organizers have to actually pick one speaker for every time slot.
Yeah, picking speaker is always hard, especially we always have this call for paper thing. And this year we had more than 300 talks submitted to our call for papers. So we are still working on them to pick the right ones to show there. We also like to choose sometimes some speakers that are going to show their new work for the first time. So sometimes it's an opportunity for them
Mm.
to connect to such a good number of people and also online. So we try to build that up too. Sometimes we have the speaker who is giving talks everywhere. So maybe it's good to have him here, or maybe it's good to have another person here who has potential to be the next people giving talks everywhere. So we try to balance that too. Yeah.
Let's see, what questions do we have here? Like we talked a little bit about like hardships and what the biggest difficulties in organizing a conference, and then we moved a little bit to the reward of like the social responsibility thing. But like I was thinking, what are some ways to why are you organizing conferences? What I'm getting at, like what is it like for you as an organizer? Why did you start doing this, and why have you been continuing to do this for how many years again?
Yeah, this is the 9th edition.
Yeah,
Next year.
that's a long time for a developer to stay in a job. You wouldn't be doing this like unless you had very good reasons, like because you have a lot of other and as an organizer of BrazilJS, well-paid options. Like why do you keep doing something that is this complicated and hard? Like what are the things that a conference organizer gets out of it? Why should the people watching this organize an event and organize a conference? What are the rewards for you?
Yeah, there have been ups and downs. Yes, it's a lot of work, as you said, but it's fun in the end. And also, there have been a couple years like when we thought, oh, this is too hard, it's too much work, it's too tiring. And then during the conference, we said, oh, okay, that's why we do that. Yeah. So during the conference, we remember all that. Okay, let's do that for the next day. And it's very good. You get something extra back for you, like the feeling, the energy, the people you meet. Also, it ends up opening some opportunities, as you said, like we give talks in other conferences, things to that. And we started doing that because we were attendees in conferences. So we loved going to conferences to talk to people, to see the talks, and then we started giving talks. So we became speakers with time, and then we decided to organize the conferences. So it took us some time, and we had this journey to learn and to figure out. Okay, well, we were in the audience, and then we were on the stage, and afterwards we were on the backstage. So it's very nice for us to be there. So sometimes I like going to conferences to attend them. Some other times I like to give a talk, and I'm always behind some other conferences. So we think that we are everywhere on the subject, and we really like getting to know these people and making the difference. We feel like making the difference, because you could have just a job, like you said, and then you could be working for a big company, or maybe you start something and then you're going to work on your product that may help people or not. But this is our way to help people. So we see that okay, we can bring content to a lot of people. We can bring opportunity, especially here in Brazil, for poor people, for people who didn't have opportunities before. We have this gap here when you see okay, someone should do something there, and if we can do something there, then I think we should, like we must. So if you can do something, I think you must do something, and we have this opportunity here, and then you see the results. It's very inspiring.
I love that quote. If you can do something, then you must do something. I like that as a
Yeah.
motto. It's similar to the reasons why I ended up doing Fun Function full time instead of Spotify. I just felt that my reach was a lot better. I felt like if you define like work as the activity of creating value for other people from your time, then I felt that Fun Function was a much better way, much more better fulcrum for my time than Spotify was. I felt like I was contributing in a way, absolutely, but I felt like if I quit there, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Like they would just get someone else to maintain the scroll component of the songs list, you know. But Fun Function feels
Yeah.
like somewhere I can make an unique contribution to people that where there wasn't anybody in that space.
Cool. Yeah. Makes sense.
No. Clark IO asks, what are some ways to grow a conference? Yeah, how do you get like that's an interesting question because I think a lot of people that like think about organizing an event is like, yeah, I could get a venue and I could probably get like some speakers, but like how do I actually get people to go there? I think that marketing and like distribution and stuff like that is I think that a lot of as a developer you feel like that is a magical conjuring trick that marketing departments do, and like how do I actually get people to come?
Yeah, that's challenging for most of companies actually, and we have a little difference on that because of our story, I think, because we see a lot of conferences came from companies. So we have this company, and they started this company to have those conferences, and we did that the other way around. So we were in the audience, as I said, and then we started giving talks. We People started knowing us about that, and then we started organizing
Mm.
conferences, and then people realized that we are doing that focused on the audience. So it's very different for us. For example, this year actually we started selling tickets in one given day there, and we only tweeted one tweet. With one tweet, no ads,
Yeah.
no money inserted on that, we sold 400 tickets in three
Holy
hours
shit.
So it was only one tweet, because this is very organic. So, and it's very nice. Sometimes we see on Twitter like a person has a question, and then I am trying to answer that, and then someone from the audience, someone from the community answers the question. So it's very nice, and we worked really hard throughout this decade to ensure that this was organic, to ensure that people were part of it. So I think that's the reason. So like when we announced the new tickets, people started letting their friends know, okay, look, this is it, this is the time, so this is the cheapest price and stuff like that, and it's really fast. So but it took us like a decade to
Yeah.
build that up, like 10 years, so we could have everyone getting to know that, and they trust us, so they know that we are having fair ticket prices and also good content. So people trust us that we are going to have they are going to have a good experience there. But it takes time to build this kind of relationship.
Mm.
So in the beginning, we were for 500 people, and we were actually surprised because we thought we'd have like 300 maybe, and then we sold out 500. It was awesome, and then we decided, okay, let's try 800 and see what happens. And then we had 800, and the other years it was like 1,000, 1,200, and up to 2,000. So it's really nice to see the interest in the community and how the community itself is modeling them to get to know which companies they can
Mm.
trust, which they don't, especially because of diversity. So, for example, if you have some problem with diversity or respect, the community itself starts working really fast to mitigate that. It's really important for us to, it's like open source. It's very important. But yes, to sell tickets, it sometimes takes time, and sometimes requires some money to have some announcements or something like that. Fortunately, we don't do that much. We usually don't have to use ads or anything
Mm.
like that. But we try to build up good partnerships. So if you have friends that have friends, and also good speakers, some good speakers, right? And then these speakers can talk about us also. So it's very nice. For example, I was at Google once, and then I was talking to one guy there, and said, "Oh, I organized this conference in Brazil," and he said, "Oh, BrazilJS, cool. I want to go there," and I didn't know who he was. And then I looked at his lanyard, and it was Matthias Bidens. And I said, "Oh, of course we want you to go there." You know, I didn't know he was a very nice guy.
Yeah.
So
I think we
I
should
didn't know him.
explain who Matthias Bidens is.
Yeah, he is the one of the main guys behind the V8, right? Behind the magic that's going on with the new versions of JavaScript and how Chrome behaves in that. So he was a very important guy, and he understood. Well, he understood really deep how the JavaScript works in the engine. So it's very important, very cool. And he was a very nice guy. He was talking to me like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's okay." And well, of course, let's go, let's make that happen. And it was cool because he knew about the conference because of the other speakers who told him about the conference. So it's very important for us to keep good relationships. And then we have this natural ads. It's very organic.
One of the things about the fun function audience is that like we have a lot of people who have been doing development for a couple of years now, like perhaps like they're a couple of years into their jobs, and they haven't like spoken at conferences or events yet, but they have a lot of skill, but they are kind of like they just haven't done the conference talk yet, and like maybe they're thinking about it, but they don't quite know why should I do that. Maybe that sounds scary. Like why? Like what can we say to the people that are a little bit on the fence, like that hold a lot of knowledge and interesting things in their heads, but haven't yet gotten out to speak and start applying to conference? What could we do to nudge them a little bit in that direction?
That's a very good question, and it's very important to us to keep fresh the community. So we always need new speakers to stand up. You know, and it's very important also to see that, for example, women are usually very afraid of saying
Yeah.
talks. So we try to reach them and say, "Oh, you know what you're talking about, so send us some ideas, you know, and it will work out." So yeah, but a lot of people are afraid of giving
Yeah.
talks, and we try to help them. There is even a community project here in Brazil called Core for Help. Instead of Core for Papers, it's Core for Help,
Huh.
and they try to help people who want to send something in Core for Papers. It's really cool.
Oh. What? So you can get
So
so you can like call for help with like with your call for speaker thing, or like
yeah, no, the other way, like if you want to give a talk but you are too afraid of,
yeah.
or you have an idea, then you talk to them and they help you building, writing the content, how you're going to show
Oh,
this, show that, maybe slides, and then you feel more confident to give the talk.
that's
So it's really
amazing.
cool. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, this is a project from the community itself to help them, to help people who are afraid of giving talks. And for me, it was very special because when I gave my first talk, I thought, okay, I want to keep doing this. It's really
Yeah.
fun. I was nervous, but I thought, okay, it's awesome. I want to do that again. But for most people, it's this first step is the hardest one. So we try to encourage them to send, and also that's one of the reasons we started a different project. It's called BrazilJS on the road.
Oh.
So we have 10 different conferences around Brazil during the whole year. They are smaller for 200, 300, 100 people, and they happen all over the place in Brazil and during the whole year. So this is a way for people to get started, to try, to give it a try, maybe to see how can you go talking to an audience of 200
Yeah.
people, see the energy, see if that's something you want to keep doing. So it's a very good starting point for people to do, and we want to keep those events happening because sometimes we have smaller events happening in Brazil, but they happen 1 2 years and then they
Yeah.
stop. So we try to keep something happening everywhere.
I think that like when it comes to speaking, it's an interesting little meta skill. I think. When it comes to writing and producing videos and speaking and really like all kinds of narrative component, I think of it as a way to improve my own learning a lot. Like a lot of the videos that I made early on where I explained concepts, I didn't really know a lot of the concepts fully. And the video, like producing the video, forced me to fill out these blanks that were in my head. I think there was someone from NPM that pulled up the amazing quote, writing is nature's way of exposing sloppiness in your thinking. And I think that is like really great. I think that like the best way to understand something fully is to do a talk on it, because then you need to learn it really, really well in order to explain it to other people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's very important. And when you are preparing your talk, you not only learn deeper, deeper the subject
Yeah.
you are talking about, because you have to see the nuances, details, but you also start thinking in a different way. You start thinking on a way how to explain that to someone, and that's helpful for your own brain to think on that, to grasp on that, to understand that. Maybe future problems you are going to solve, this is going to help you to think faster, you know. So I think it's very, very important to teaching is the best way of learning. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Slim HS points out that the American and European conferences are so expensive, and yeah, that's for sure. Or the the USA American, they like the Nordic jazz tickets. I think they're like, what is it? Like they're very expensive. Like I think they're like 12,000 Swedish kroners or something like that, which is about 1,200 euros. So it's kind of like catching, but it's also like salaries are insanely high in Sweden because costs are insanely high.
Yeah, even in Brazil, we have many conferences that are very expensive. We try to keep that
Yeah.
low. I think among the conferences with international speakers, we are the cheapest probably, but it's really hard to keep that happening. But we think this is one of the important things to make happen. But yes, in Brazil, we also have some conferences that are more expensive. We understand why. Okay, I don't think they are
Yeah.
wrong, but they are not aligned with our goals and our mindset. So yeah, this is just a different way of doing things.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't like. It's I have many like colleagues in a way where that do paid courses and put them behind paywalls, like because people are very willing to pay for programming courses. But like I just want to like have a broad reach, so I put out nearly all of my stuff for free because I just like it. That's just how the alignment with what I want to do. Like because if I just wanted to maximize my earnings, I would probably not be doing this. For me, it's about like value impact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you can reach more people, or maybe more people who needs more, if you do this differently. Yeah. And the main thing that I can say for, especially for people in community who wants to do something like a conference or a meetup or a workshop, the first thing I think you need to be taught is you have to do
Yeah.
something. Because you mentioned that before, like, oh, I could do that, I could have a venue, I could have done that. Yeah, everyone could. Well, who does that, you know? So making it happen is a little different. You have to, to move yourself to make it happen. But this is actually a very good exercise of your own personality and things you are used
Yeah.
to. Sometimes it's easier to go home and play video games,
Yeah.
as you said. It's way easier and more comfortable. But sometimes you think, okay, I need to. Someone has to do that. I can, so I shall.
That's like an interesting notion. I love that quote. Half of success is showing up, which seems a little bit inane. Like when you like, it seems like a joke, but it's like it's a thing. It's easier to not show up and just play Xbox. Like when you show up, the problem with showing up is that then you have to do work. Like if you start like say that if you post that meetup event showing like, oh, we're gonna do this event at this company, then then you're responsible for making that work. Is there like any advice that you would give to, because probably the people here are not going to start a conference right away, but what I want to encourage a bit with this and hoping to get people started on is organizing events, organizing meetups around things, and stuff like just hosting like a meetup around like your favorite technology, new technology that you're passionate about at your company space. Like what are the most important things to think about when you're starting out?
Yeah, that's you just mentioned some very important things there. For example, I believe that we made it happen with BrazilJS because we are in love with JavaScript. So this was something we really loved, the web, the JavaScript technology and technologies around it. So yeah, this is something that inspired us to keep going and to be creative. And I think this is another thing that you can be creative. Sometimes people think, oh, to do that, I need a lot of money. I don't have this money. But sometimes you can actually do things differently. For example, we had this thing going on here in Porto Alegre called BeerJS. No, Cold and Beer. Cold and Beer, it was the name. And the idea was a dojo, so people should go on the stage and code a little bit of some framework or something to learn. And people are usually very shy on going on stage and doing that. So what did they do? They bought some beers, and then everyone who went on the stage could take a free beer. So in the end, was everyone, of course, a little drunk, but everyone had a lot of fun. It was on a bar, a very nice place, and everyone had learned something. So it was very cheap, and actually they end up having
it doesn't have to be all that complicated.
Yeah, it's easy to do. And also, like from the third edition on, the bar agreed on giving some beers to them because they were bringing a lot of people there. So people were having those free beers, but they also were buying other beers and other stuff. So it was good for the bar as well. So it was very cheap idea to do some very creative things. And I think if you are creative and you really want to do something and you like something, you can find ways to making it happen, even if you don't have enough time or money, resources.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking that things are more complicated than they are. The meetups that I've been, when I've been organizing meetups around, or often when I go to a conference, I tend to organize a little extra meetup around it, just to get the opportunity to meet a little bit of the fun function audience. It's really cool to have that and put a face to the nicknames. It's very valuable for my feeling of being connected to the world. And I procrastinating on doing that for so long, but it ended up the effort required to do it was more or less a tweet. I was like, hey, I'm going to this place. Does any company want to host a meetup for me? Just front some beers and pizza and I'll show up and people will show up at your company. And the US just responded immediately with some dude who just organized the entire thing. And I was like, yeah, this wasn't too hard. And there was the stuff I need to do, but after I got started, it was basically just following the rope, okay, this little catastrophe happened, I'll just solve it, and then things eventually got fine after you repeat that. And I learned a lot, and it was great fun, and primarily it just gave me so much energy, because programming can be very lonely sometimes. It's you get disconnected after a while. Once you get a job and you hang around in a company, you just get complacent. You stay around with your colleagues and you get stuck a little bit in your echo chamber. You You don't know what technologies are around. You don't know what the general vibes is in the industry, and a conference is kind of, and meetups are kind of like a little bit of an antidote to that, to be connected to the industry and be with the people that are in it and get a feel for it. And I think it's like very important for us to get out there and also to contribute to that space by organizing a little, speaking a little, because you're more valuable than you think. Like speakers are like a lot of more people are able to speak than do speak, I think.
Yeah, those are also very important tips for the attendees too, because indeed sometimes working is very lonely for developers, and you need to go around and to meet people, to talk to people, and sometimes all you have to do is do that the first time. So I know a lot of people who never done that, and then the first time they went to a meetup or something, they thought, "Oh, this is awesome! I loved it." And then they're like every time, and they became multipliers. They started organizing their own stuff like that. So sometimes all you need to do is doing that the first time. They were like years working in companies, and they thought that's it. And then they realized, no, there is this whole ecosystem, this whole community around it. So it's important for the attendees, for people who are being part of the community, and also for people who are bringing content to the community itself. So I think when we organize conferences, we are doing something that's connecting these two sides of the same thing.
I think think that we can wrap it up here. We've been talking for quite a while. Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience off with? Any final thoughts? Any what a conference organizer looks for, and call for proposal, anything really?
Well, yeah, that's a great question to ask you on the surprise. But yeah, but no, I think that we are always trying to inspire people to do something. So if you felt inspired somehow, let me know. It would be great for us to know that this is actually the fuel that keeps us going on. For us to get the feedback, to grab it, even good or bad, either good or bad feedback is important to us to learn, and I think people should be aware of that. So when you hear a bad feedback, for example, if you give a talk and some people say something bad, something mean, that does not mean that you should stop giving talks.
Yeah.
Or that everyone in the audience had the same.
No, quite the opposite. Like now you have something to improve on, like and improve as a speaker. Like failure and feedback is how you learn.
Yeah, this is very, very important for organizing conferences or for giving talks or trainings and stuff like that. It's very important. If you want to improve yourself, you need to be able to be some bad feedback, and it's actually important. This is where you find the points where you have to change, right? I like to say that when I was a child, I wanted to be an inventor, to create new things.
Yeah.
And I like saying that today I am, because I can have like an empty piece of paper, and then I can write something there, and in the end I have a page, or I have something that's very nice, very useful for people. So I like to say that developers have this opportunity of being an inventor. So you can do virtually anything, and the internet is there to help you out to do that. So I think if you have creative, you have the right motivation, you can make this really great and big and reach a lot of people and possibly change lives.
I love that. That is so good.
Yeah, I was philosophy here. Sorry.
So, if you are there tickets left for BrazilJS still, or are there
Yeah, we still have some. Yeah, we still have some tickets. We sold, I think, 1,000 something. We still have maybe half a thousand, something like that.
Yeah, and
so.
So it's definitely a high risk. Like, where you do you usually sell out? Do you usually sell out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So make sure that you don't dawdle if you're thinking about going to BrazilJS. Like, do get a ticket. It's very, like, as a conference, it's incredibly cheap. You're not gonna get a conference of this caliber at this price for anywhere in the world. So like if you're in Brazil, like you're very lucky and like in this regard, and you should go to BrazilJS. It's a fantastic experience. And if you do, I really hope to meet you there. It will be really fun to meet you. Sure, if you see me, come up and say hi. I will be mingling around after and before my talk. More after my talk, because before I will feel horribly nervous. But yeah, like hope to see you there.
Yeah, it's really cool. And also for your workshop on artificial intelligence and stuff, I think it's almost sold out, but you still have some.
Like yeah, for sure. Like
Right.
there's a couple of tickets left on that. So if you want to join the workshop, like for the love of God, get that too, because it's very few spots. I'm doing 2 of them. It's on a subject I'm very new at, and like we're gonna be learning it together. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I really hope to see you.
Really
Yeah,
cool, really
like
cool. Also, we have a
I was about to
also
say
have a
that
lot of
I
people.
realized I didn't say what the workshop was about. We're building a neural network in plain JavaScript, no libraries or TensorFlow or anything like that. We're building the entire thing from scratch, so that we really get what a neural network is at a fundamental level.
That's awesome. Actually, I want to be there too, because this is something I want to learn and to do. I have been to many different talks on artificial intelligence. They are all basically the same. They are always trying to use
Yeah,
APIs on cloud services and stuff like that. So it's all the same. I can do that. I can read that on Google and
yeah, exactly.
also uh, this workshop is something I am very looking forward to see.
Thank you so much for joining the stream, Felipe. Where can people follow you, by the way?
Yeah, cool. Thank you for this awesome experience. And people can find me like I am Felipe and Moura on Twitter, and also this is my email if you want to get in touch with me. And I am usually online on Twitter and sometimes on Facebook too. The Twitter is the finest way to find me. And BrazilJS is BrazilJS altogether on Twitter and also Facebook and YouTube as well. And if people want to find us on Instagram, it's Brazil.js. Someone had already got the BrazilJS handle. So it's Brazil.js on Instagram.
All right. Thank you so much, Felipe. Thank you so much, everyone in chat. Have a great week, and I will see you next Monday morning. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out this week's sponsor, Linode. If you need a VPS, check out the description details to get a discount when you sign up. We record this show live on Mondays. If you want to see what that is in your time zone, you can do so at twitch.tv/funfunfunction. If you want to see more about what FunFunction is about, you can check out this playlist, or you can subscribe by clicking here. I am MPJ. Until next Monday morning, stay curious.